ask now how you got started in writing, Todd, and then I'll share my story.
Well, it's very interesting because we did an event for the Brisbane Writers Festival, and one of the things that you said, Carly, which is very true and is indicative in the book, is that I'm an angry writer, and most people would be not offended but discouraged by that. But I started writing as a tool to get my emotions out. It's not very easy being a teenager with a disability, as Carly well knows, and as many of the contributors expressed in the book. So the only way I could get my feelings, my opinions, my negativity, my positivity out was to write it on paper. When I started, most of that wasn't shared, but as we talked about before we came on air, Carly and I have known each other for 12, 13 years, and we really knew each other through our writings and through our respective blogs. And I think that's a common theme amongst disabled writers, is that, you start wanting to externalize your thoughts, feelings and emotions, because society as a whole basically expects people with disabilities either to be superheroes or to be placid and grateful. And I fit into neither of those categories, and Carly and the rest of the contributors don't either. So we just need a forum to express very complex, very unique and individual emotions which are unique to us, and we need to express those in a healthy, safe environment. And I chose to write to do that. I'm very fortunate that I have the opportunity, the resources, the time to do that. As we've seen across the disability and the community as a whole, as Carly alluded to earlier, I'm in a very privileged position, and part of that privilege is to share my experiences so others can learn from it. And a main way I do that, even professionally now, is to write.
I think you're right in saying that so many disabled people write to tell our stories on our own platforms, because until recently, until sort of the last sort of 10 years, maybe a bit more, there's been so much gatekeeping in the media, and we were given no choice but to make our own media in our own ways and on our own platforms where we own them. I think now it's much easier with social media and with having more disabled people in the media, although not enough. That's been a lot easier. And it was really, for me, the turning point was, with Stella Young editing Ramp Up on the ABC, where it was disability led. She was disabled herself, and she had a really, clear direction for the website. And I think it was only a 4-year project, and it should have been far longer, but that was really valuable to have her leading us. And my writing started when I was a child. I've always liked writing, and writing about disability started when I was probably in 2006, I would say, or 2007, when I started writing on a MySpace blog, and I wrote a bit about my skin condition, and people were really interested. I was really worried about how it would be received and how my photo would be used, and it wasn't as scary as I thought. Like, the support was huge. But I've started writing for, professionally and paid, for a magazine, a website called Divine. Did you write for that as well, Todd?
No, because, correct me if I'm wrong, that was based in Victoria. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it was a Victorian.
Yeah.
It was a Victorian government website for Victorians who were disabled. And look, it wasn't disability led, and I actually found that really hard. I remember writing a piece about spontaneity. The editor had changed, and I just don't think she got it. I think, again, it was this idea that disabled people are either heroes or objects of pity. And I wrote this piece about not being able to be spontaneous as a young woman, and I said that when I go out, like, if, you know, back then when I was going out to pubs and clubs and stuff, I couldn't just get drunk and stay at someone's house because I needed to have a shower the next morning and I needed all, you know, my medical equipment and that. And I wrote about this, and I don't think I even gave much detail about what I needed, but I remember her feedback was something like, oh, but Carly, what about those who are more disabled than you, who actually can't even get to the pub or club? And yeah, and look, the website ended up folding, but I sort of realized that I didn't want someone who was non-disabled to be gatekeeping or policing my disabled experience there. So I didn't write for them for all that long after that happened. But that writing led to mainstream writing. It led to writing for Mia Friedman's website, because I did an article about body image and disability and asked her for some assistance. And then I'd finished my Masters of Communication at RMIT, and I realised that while I learnt how to write for a newsroom or in a newsroom, I didn't know how to write freelance. I didn't want to work in a newsroom. And so I ended up doing a course through the Australian Writers Centre, then the Sydney Writers Centre, and it was really useful. It was a course on, you know, freelancing and magazine pitching, and it was a really great supplement to my university study. And the assignment that I did was the first magazine I got published in. Actually, I got published in Frankie magazine, and then that led to writing with Fairfax and other places. But I really found that writing on our blogs helped. And I would say that to any writer, to start writing in your own space and don't wait to get published. Just self-publish, publish it on your blog, publish it on your Facebook, Instagram, you know, do a podcast, do a YouTube video series, but make it on your own terms. And I think that's really important, because it can be done, and you know, it's relatively cheap, and people will see it if you share it. And also, don't be afraid to share your work as well. Like, I have a few people that say, oh, I started a blog but no one read it, but I was too scared to say anything that I even had a blog. So tell people about it. Be like be more confident in that.